Okay, we're back with another bug. Once again, found a bug using the GitHub issue search. And in this case, it's a bug in a debugger. Specifically that it's a feature request to include bit flag arguments, constant names when inspecting arguments for certain well-known functions. In this case, the image is the debugger is generating debug information about a call to mmap. The flags argument is a bit flags. It's a combination of specific constants. And the ask is for this debugger to generate the named constants instead of just the flat integer value. I think this bug is actually kind of interesting. I think we can make this work pretty easily. What's going to be the harder part is this kind of reference at the bottom. Specifically, I think for a lot of these well-known functions, these flag values are not defined. They're potentially system specific, although they're not very likely to change. And so there's one kind of ask, which is I think just kind of adding the support for printing and stuff like that, which I think should be pretty easy, I hope. But doing that might require us to hard code the values of those constants in a way that might not be correct across all systems. And so potentially the harder part is going to be figuring out how we deal with those constants in other systems. And do we give people a way for them to specify the correct values on their systems? Either way, I think we can start with this first task and go from there. So I'm going to jump right into it and clone the code base. Specifically, I should have mentioned that this project, pwndbg, is a Python extension which is meant to be loaded into GDB or LLDB and provides a bunch of helpful utilities that kind of augment the existing GDB or LLDB debuggers. I am not a very heavy user of GDB or LLDB, and I've never used this extension before, but I think we can figure something out. So I'm going to go right ahead and fork. Done. And I believe the package said that they use Docker for running tests. So let's see. I did not change directory. And we'll see how that goes. I'm also going to start up an editor at the same time. Okay, running those tests actually took a while. Two fail out of the box, but those obviously aren't caused by my changes, so I'm just going to move past that for the moment. I'm actually going to run the tests one more time just to see if they run faster, or if we have to come up with a better iterative environment. Okay, much better. So I think at this point, we can jump over and look at the code base. So in code, the issue linked a file already, specifically functions data. And the issue was talking about the mmap function, which has a flags argument. And we already have a type argument here. Can I go to the definition of argument? Where did the argument come from? I'm not much of a Python developer. So let's see. Class argument. Yeah, so this is just a tuple. Type, deref count, name. So we should probably add class flag named tuple value in type str. This might not work for larger int flags. I'm not sure how big the Python int size is. Oh, okay, they're arbitrary sized in Python 3, so that'll be fine. We can do flags, list flag, only valid when type is flags. And then we can do mmap. Actually, this is probably a bad idea. We shouldn't change the type because that might have size information. So maybe we just omit that entirely and we do just this. That might be better. Now, functions data had mmap. And this is where things get interesting. We can define a list and we can do flag. Value equals 0, name equals something. So if we look for mmap, we can find the value for the flags argument, which is going to be map shared validate, map private. I think I actually remember something about this specific sig call, which I believe this is meant to be the combination of like map shared and map private, but regardless. So the flag name, for example, that we care about here is going to be map shared. But the documentation doesn't include the value for the flag. And I think that's intentional. I don't think this is defined. I think it can vary system to system. So at least on our system, we need to come up with a way of getting this value, dumping it to get something that we can put in here, at least for testing purposes. So what I'm going to do is open up another, and inside of this, I think we can just do and I should be able to go do I think this should work like this. And I believe if we just this will tell us that the value of map shared on our system is 1. Is there any other value? Type unsigned. Name equals value. I don't see any other way. Chances are we want to record these as hex. So see printf hex. It's going to be so changing the case of x affects the casing of the output characters. So I think I want, this looks right. So if I go back here, change my format to be this, and do I get 001. So let's do this. And I get 0x. I think I only care about having at least 2 digits. So we should be able to do this. And the value for the flag that we care about is going to be that. Oh, no. Either way, it's different one. Flag is not defined. Is argument imported from functions.py? Yes, it is. That's alphabetical. That should be good. So I think that gives us a flag. Now we also need probably a test program to break at that might be present in the test suite. So we can look at that. That's probably going to be a little more complicated. But first up, we want to see what's reading from the type field for function. Find references. Doesn't work. Oh, it's gone. We'll see what it finds. Although, let's just, this is probably gonna produce a million results, but type info, args.type. Oh, what are we looking at here? How big? Results are pretty large. Is that going to be a lot smaller? Yes. So we might be able to just jump through this. So because what we care about is function. Dump args. That seems really likely to be the location that we need to change. Yeah, that seems pretty hard to say no to. So dump args dot py. So pwndbg is arg.type value. Functions.argument. Yeah, so this returns all the arguments. And it has values as well. So we format the value code arg.name pretty. This chain format value code. So nothing in here includes the argument or even the arg.type other than whether it is char or not. Let's look at this. Format value is, what's the type on value? Get returns. It's just ints. So code chain.format value limit code stop arrow configure our left colorize arrow right. So we should look at the screenshot. Is this what we're seeing? Kind of. Oh, I see. This is just for more details. So if chain equals value limit offset hard stop and stop safe linking limit equals 0. Just set to false, attempt dereference, no. And so we want to enhance the last pointer value, and if an offset was used, chain failed at that offset to display to the offset. Limit equals 0. Five. Value is none. So we're not going to return here. We're not going to return here. So we're going to get right down to here at least. C. Now where does it use? There was a parameter that we're passing the code, which is whether it's a char. Where does this get code? Hint that indicates the value may be an instruction. Okay. Where does that get used? Code in enhance. And if len chain is less than limit plus 1. Okay, so either way, we pass in a value. The value is going to be an int. So this is going to be false, which means we get this chain, which address is not going to be none. Limit. Any type in any VMAT pages to avoid redundant dereferences. So in the case where the argument is int, I'm surprised this fires at all. Where does address come from? Or address in chain. Ants. Int val. So all of this seems quite convoluted given that we have the type from the arguments. I'm surprised if the type isn't in, why aren't we just printing the int value. Chain.format value. And this also is returning arg name. This is returning a string. Okay, so here we don't have type information. But here we do, because this is returning an argument. And yet we're still calling the same formatting code. That surprises me. 10 colon pretty. This seems definitely like the code that we care about. But I guess I can see that even in the mem map here, for example, the file descriptor is of type 0, is of type int, but we are printing information that goes beyond just integer information. So even with type information, this function is providing value. I guess what I could do is a chain. I don't know. What's the best way to do like a private function in Python? Are there any examples here? Like I said, I don't do Python. Okay, leading underscore. So let's go back here and see if we're at least on the right path. So this can be like format flags args, and this would be arg value, where arg is going to be an argument, and value is going to be an int. Then we would do for flag in arg.flags if value and flag dot value is greater than 0. Flag names equals list equals this, and this then flag names dot append flag dot name. Name. Flag, did I set this wrong when I set up mmap? Maybe that's why it's complaining, but name is right. Dump args.py, and hopefully this works now. And then value equals value and not like value. I'm not sure about the Python bit manipulation syntax. I'll definitely have to check that. And then if value isn't 0, then flag names dot append. And we should do Python format integer as x. Char x. Sure. X value. And then return flag names dot. Is there a join? Looks like it would be dot join legends. Something like this. I'm going to run the tests and see if there just happen to be any tests that test the dump args printing of mmap. And if there is, maybe we get lucky and we hit a test failure right away, which would make this much easier to iterate on. Okay, so I definitely broke some stuff. Well, missing one required positional argument flags. So that makes me think that what I did in functions.py, that this is a required parameter now. Python named tuple optional field. None of this is using the same function. Okay. Or none equals none. Okay. And that makes me realize that I forgot to update this code, which should be pretty equals, there's like the weird Python chaining code, which should be like this if, I guess it would be underscore format flags. Arg value if arg dot type equals int and arg dot flags isn't none else. It's pretty ugly. I'm not a Python programmer and I'm definitely not a Python fan, but we'll see if that at least fixes the issues. Okay, we're back to the state where the same two tests are failing. So I think what we're going to have to do at this point is see if we can find anything that's using this dump args or call args, I guess, in tests. So let's see what this brings up. Usage. Don't see any. Yeah. Nothing in here indicates that it's being called in tests. Is there any test name that makes me think we should be printing arguments? Nothing really. Or commands dot py. Import dump args. All args was the other one? Args. Invoke. Keyword args. Yeah. That import showed up in commands and docs command index has documentation on a call instruction. This has dump args, right? So dump reference binary. So I don't see anything in here that says test map. Used file descriptors binary. pwndbg and oh, this is interesting. Almost like we have values for this built in. So this is testing an mmap command, but this is actually interesting because we might have values for some of these built in already. Indeed, in commands mmap. Prop values, yeah. Shared validate is 3. Yeah, it's still not enough because this is just one command, and we want something generic enough that we can include argument descriptions for all the functions and functions data, but still interesting. In commands is where dump args is, but I don't see any command that's test command dump arg. So we might need to add a new test. But if we do same one, where was it? mmap. Oh, it's not here. mmap. Use fd's binary equals use fd's dot out. Where does this get referenced? Test mmap, test context menu. context commands. Next call. Okay, so this is really good info, actually. This is very similar to what I need to do. Now, I don't know where this binary comes from still. Use FDs. Test.binaries.get. Yes. Binaries. Here we go. Use FDs. Okay, I think we're getting close here. So what we should be able to do is we can either add a new binary. Oh, mmap gaps. Mmap gaps. Yeah, this might be this at least has yeah. Okay. Test command, context commands, and whether it shows properly opened. Does it just context? Yeah. Okay, but nothing does dump args. So let's try write one. The best, this context one's probably going to be the best example, but if we do test dump args.py, and we have test context commands, and this one, we can import all of this. Probably not going to need all that. And the binary that we want is going to be the mmap gaps one. Mmap, I think is what it was called. Mmap underscore gaps dot out. Mmap gaps binary. And then the context commands one again. We can just, is this the test or is this setup? I think this is a test. So we go here, we do this. Test dumps mmap args. Test dump args command and xmmap call technically. We'll have to update that. We do this, we break main, then we continue. I believe next call should be after main in the mmap gaps binary. Should be the xmmap call on xmmap. Out equals command dot dump args. Dump args. Oh, Does that not want to work? Parks. Code commands. Bargs. Okay. Context. Same way. And def, yeah. This seems like it should work. We'll see. And let's do assert intentional failure in out and get rid of the rest. Oh, I didn't mark. Okay. So now, do I have to do anything special to get this to run? Test emulate. It's only referenced in here, so presumably it's going to run all the tests within this file. Like a start.py. I'm not familiar with this test runner, but I don't see any other references to the other. Let's see what happens if we go tests, GDB tests. Yeah, I don't see any reference to it. Now this opens up the question that I have. Oh, yeah, they don't have any like, this isn't split between GDB tests and LLDB tests, so I don't think I have to, like, I think I've got this placed in the right spot. Let's try to run this. Let's see what happens. And like I said, I want this to fail. I want to see what the output of the command is. I want to see if the extra logic that we have is even running. Oh, actually, it's definitely not going to run because I don't have I can do this at the same time, but in function data is xmmap in here? It is not. So, oh, okay. This just calls mmap. So we might not even get to the right function because it might break on this call rather than breaking on this call. We'll see. Module object is not callable. Okay, so it's running our test. In the other test, so test dump. Let's see, in emulate, what does it do? Commands. Emulate. Commands. Threads. This is interesting. I don't. Yeah, so I think we should rename this to test underscore commands underscore dump args. And instead of doing this, we should just do execute args. And if I call this, what does this return? This returns out. Okay. So equals this. And this should be done. Can I get it to run a specific test? Test.sh. That's QEMU though, and I think I'm not running those. Okay, so it does forward this to test.py, and this, does this have a main? Parse args. T-type ECVS test name filter. Can I do dump args? No. Okay, that was much faster. Perfect. So out equals none. None type object is not subscriptable. Okay, that's not what I was hoping for. Why do other tests return things? Maybe it's just this toString equals true. And split lines. That sounds reasonable. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we are getting output that just lists register values. We're not getting a specific function, which I think is kind of what we expect. What happens if we do this? Because this is inside. If we do this, does this change? No. RDX 3 RSI. This in a little Indian is 1, but okay, so we are looking at the mmap underscore gaps.c. Get us here. First call would get us here. What is this? Okay, no, so we're definitely seeing this in the yeah, we're seeing that value. So maybe we need another continue. Let's do continue here. Assertion failed. Dump args program is not being run. Okay, so let's just see. Like I said, I don't know GDB very well, so it's not surprising that like we run continue and but let's check what next call does. This might be part of pwndbg. Yes, it is. Breaks at the next call instruction. The next symbol to be broken on before calling. Okay. So if I just do this work? Program is not being run. Okay. Are there commands that load symbols? Break here. Break here. So this is in the branch here. Interesting. Okay. Bin. Next program. Program is not being run. Let's see. What was the it's a map gap, right? Oh, I'm the only one using this binary now. That's unfortunate. So I want to check and see whether addr length prot flags fd offset. So if I just do this and I just changed this type map. Will the initial dump args, which was just continue and break on next map, will this work now? Okay. So I'm getting addr. This len prot flags fd offset. Interesting. So it's not printing the name of the function, but it is printing the arguments properly. So maybe that's just a different function, different command name to print the function name. But yes, this is now printing arguments, but it's not printing them with our flag values, but it's got a value of 2 here in the lowest order bits, and we, using the flags that we set, the one flag that we configured was a value of 1. So what is the flags that it's setting? It's setting these. So let's go back to our test binary, which is at crashed again. And this was flags, I believe. Yeah, okay. So we need these values. If we do this, we get definitely not the right values because we need this. And this seems to align with the values that were present in the other in that file that we had that had the dictionaries that went the other way. The mmap command, the dictionaries that it had internally. So let's grab these, go back to our function data, and find mmap, and dump this. Oh, not what I wanted. We want flag. Okay. There we go. Map private, map anonymous, map fixed, which in the map gaps, map private, map anonymous, map fixed. So that at least is part of the bug. I'm assuming that our implementation is pretty bad. Implementing this wrapper function instead of adding the logic into chain.format. So one of the things I want to test is if I just look for hex, specifically something in, am I in the tests? Yes, I am still. Where was this logic? Chain.format. Enhance. X2 pointer. Enhance seems likely. Hex. Format small int pair. Format small int. Okay. So this is seeing if the value has a corresponding string value. Let's go jmalloc. So I'm checking to see whether this is the only hex call. I think the enhance/color was something else. So we might just be able to look at calls to this. And there's a few. Emulator, IDA, enhance, 97, 128, 177. Code, bool. No, I can't read. Okay. 128. Same thing. 97. Same thing. 177. Same thing. So everything's just calling this enhance, which I think we are calling directly from that chain. So in dump args.py, in chain format, this calls enhance, right? Yes. Code equals code. Code equals code. Chain minus 2 plus offset. This calls this, and so I think we could pass the flags down. Or c dot enhanced equals c dot contiguous merge cur config contiguous turn enhanced. Yeah, pretty wild. I think this is a reasonable question to ask. I'm guessing this should be in chain, but yeah. So we could do flags, list flag or none equals none. And then we do all this, and it enhanced is just, it's the type here. It's just a value, right? Yeah, it's, no, it's a string. And the chain is value is int. None. Yeah, I feel like all of this is unnecessary if we have the flags, but so we could take this logic and go put it, do we put utils above or below here? Be below. something like this. Flags. We could do list flag or none. This in flags. And yeah, let's just call it. This we should be able to import from the same place we get it in dump args, which is this. But now in chain.py, we do this. We get flag. Then if I think the best thing to do is just check if it's an int. And all of this kind of gets blown away. Because the chain doesn't really matter. Yeah, I feel like we just do if value is instance value in and flags none format return format flags arg flags value. Flags value. And then in here, the logic stays the same as it used to be, which is just returning the chain format call. But now we pass flags equals arg dot flags, and we get rid of this helper. If we do that, run the tests. Everything here still works. So let's see if we can revert the changes here and still get this to work. Next call. What did this do? F10. Is that even changing anything? GDB step 2. Continue, do next, and then we do next call. Because now, so like we're breaking here originally, and when we change this to mmap, it works. I'd rather not change this binary because it seems like it was written for something other than the test that I'm writing. But I want to be able to get to here, step into this, and then break on this function call. And I don't know why that doesn't want to work. Can I just do step? Step, we can do steps. Next, we'll step over. Okay, so I got that wrong. We want step. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we're at, so this is step into the map call. Stop on the map. Then we run dump args, and now we get this. So how do any of these ones do large comparisons? I think they just go line by line, which that's fine. So let's copy the lines that we expect. Go here and do assert out equals 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And assert out 0 is equal to four, and let's see if our test passes. It does. Okay. So I think that's the first step. I could continue, but I think I'm going to stop here, and I'd want to get some verification that I'm at least on the right path. This might be a fun bug to pick up again later, because I do think that the bigger problem is generating all this. So for example, I know we missed one, which is this, no, sorry, map shared validate. Map anonymous, map, yeah, there's lots. This one's particularly interesting, which is, because I believe it's a combination of two. So if I did this, yeah, so this is 3, which is a combination of 1 and 2. And I was kind of thinking ahead a little bit when I wrote this, where I think if you put this first, the code that we have will detect that and use that flag instead. Oh, this is a bug. I'm silly. In the format logic, if I am thinking correctly, I wrote this function. I think I have a greater than or equal to 0 check, greater than 0 here, but this should really be is equal to flag.value. And now it passes again, yeah. But if we had in that gaps.c file, if instead of map private, I had done map shared validate, it's going to generate map shared validate instead of the flags for both map private and map shared. It's just going to generate the one flag because this comes first, and it's a combination of the two. So that's kind of convenient. Once again, undo the changes to this file. And then I think the interesting thing basically is from here, how do we generate all this? Or how do we get it for all the functions that are already in this, which is going to be a fairly large amount. And two, how do we make sure that it's relevant for the current system if these values happen to be different than the values that I'm hard coding? But regardless, I think this is a good place to maybe create a pull request and see if there's objections, at least to what I have done so far. I am not 100% sure that the place I've done this call and the conditions I've wrapped around it are the best way of doing this. I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's hard for me to predict. Yeah, inside of this. This should be formatting flags. I don't think this can be none. That'll get rid of that. Is this going to complain? It shouldn't. Yeah, this should be type narrowed. Okay. So I don't think their contributing guide had anything in terms of formatting or lints or anything like that. Oh no, they have a Discord server. Okay. Seems easy. What is the license? MIT? I think we're good to go. So, we add the flags argument to format. We add the logic for using it. We add the helper function. We pass the new argument. Don't know if we need this anymore. I don't think so. Import flag because we're setting up flags, and that should be good. So now in dump args, we do not need to import this. And commands the dump args diff. Oh, that's just new. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. We do this. We need the issue number. This request. Oh, they do have testing. Okay. Testing. Okay, so I think I've been running test.sh. I've just been running it through Docker rather than running it locally, which their guide seems to make it seem like that's okay. They have lints, linting. Okay. Oh, there was there's a command for managing Python virtual environments, but I can't remember. Is it pipen? Nope. Python virtual and manager. What was it called? I don't know. Okay. Env name bin. Python virtual env. Pip file, pip, and virtual env. I think that's what I was thinking of. I don't know why it's not installed. Does this work? .venv. Bin activate. Venv bin activate not found. Hmm. Okay, that was strange. But it worked. It ran the lints. It found something wrong. Wait. Did it? It did. It committed it. But I don't want to submit any of these changes. Or was there a contributing guide? Yeah. Okay. I think at least we got it to run. So let's go back here. And it doesn't look like it generated any diffs. No. Okay. There's the pull request. Hopefully the changes will look pretty reasonable. I believe so. And we'll go from there. Yeah. I think that's basically it. This might be an interesting one, like I said, to do a follow-up on. If feedback on this looks good, I can come back and maybe look at what it takes to get all the right values into functions data.py, which sounds like an interesting challenge. and there might be some scripts involved to be able to generate the correct constants for your machine. Either way, hope that was an interesting one. Thanks everybody for watching.